Hello, happy new moon. It is the official, in a lot of ways, the official beginning of the solar lunar calendar, where sun and moon are both in Aries. They have begun a new lunar cycle. And now is an excellent time with this new moon, with sun and moon being conjunct, and also Mercury also being conjunct all in Aries. This is a really wonderful time to set our intentions for what we want to do with the lunar cycle ahead of us. So this is what I've done for myself to be able to set my intentions for this next month. Again, with every new moon, we want to do this. I have the sun here, of course, the new moon, kind of looks like a nipple, and here is the Aries symbol. And for example, my intention for this lunar cycle, so again, the next 30 days, is to grow forward. I want to make major progress with editing my book, making more astrology TikTok videos, and then putting those on YouTube and Instagram when they're ready, doing more readings, growing my music skills, finishing a book on Prince, and physical health, well-being. So it's a really good time to, it doesn't take long, and it's really good to just have this. You put it up somewhere where you see it all the time, either at work or in your room or wherever. And it really helps you to focus on what you want to accomplish for the next 30 days. Oh, before I forget, so it is April 1st, but it's April 1st. But I'm going to extend the 20% off readings discount because Venus and Saturn are conjunct for this weekend only. After that, it will be going back to normal. So I really recommend booking a reading this weekend. It doesn't have to be for this weekend, but booking a reading for this weekend for this upcoming week, for example. I'm starting to get booked up, so it might have to be the week after that. But I have a lot of different kinds of formats of reading. All the information for that is in the description. You can get any kind of reading that you like. We can cover whatever you like, whether it's about you or love life or whether it's a relationship or whatever. You can ask any kind of question, and astrology is so good, and I'm just, not to be egotistical, but I'm so practiced with it that there are good insights always to gain. So I really recommend it. And then on Monday it will be normal rates. So don't forget, just go do it. Send me a message and we'll get it started and it'll be all good. Okay, so beyond that, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I think why, this is always a good idea, but why it's especially important is because this lunar cycle, we have a lot to work with. We started off the year kind of weird with January. We had two major retrogrades. We still were in the shadow period for Jupiter and Saturn for the first couple of weeks of January. And it didn't really feel like until February that like the year really started. But of course, we are finally in the beginning of a new year with Sun being in Aries, and the new moon begins it. And not only do we have no retrogrades happening in the near future, but we also have Mars and Saturn conjunct. Now, this is also a real source of frustration for a lot of people, where if we're being impatient, if we're seeking to only focus on our ideal goals and we're looking at the long-term goals and we're missing the day-to-day practice, the day-to-day progress, we can get really frustrated, really angry, and that is something we need to be mindful of. But honestly, I think more so the major energy here is helping us to move forward in a very productive way. We're able to be very focused, and again, we're able to know what our long-term goals are. That's probably one of the best parts. Where this is a pretty sweet lunar cycle. They're always good, there's always benefits, but certain ones can be a little rough, challenging in certain ways. This next 30 days, and again, it's really important to set the intention now to make the most of the next 30 days, to enjoy it and to make it a smooth thing. It should never feel like work, it's just putting down the intention and then looking at it from time to time and thinking about it and going, oh yeah, kind of seeing your goals right in front of you helps you to manifest them, to move forward with them, to feel good about them, and also to keep track of how much progress you've made. And in a couple weeks time, you'll look back looking at the new moon intention sheet and you'll go, wow, yeah, I did do that, and wow, I did make progress on that. It's just good to have all of this mentally available to you. And again, this is such a cool thing because we have Mercury, Sun, and Moon all together in Aries, no retrogrades on the horizon. As long as we're patient, and the other thing is this: Venus and Saturn are conjunct. We want to simplify our relationships. We want to restrict everything to the bare minimum, and same with Mars conjunct Saturn as per our efforts and what we're seeking to accomplish. Just focus on one thing at a time, really follow through with that thing. And also with Venus being conjunct Saturn, the focus is in many ways on relationships. Okay, what are the relationships that I really need in my life? Not to say that we want to be cold, that's the challenge here. We do not want to be cold, we don't want to be cruel, but we really need to stay focused on what are my long-term relationships? You know, again, like I said in the last video, on Sunday, as much as it broke my heart, I needed to make some major decisions as per my music career, because it just was not going to work. I could see where the future was heading. It wasn't heading anywhere good, at least not for the near future. I needed to shift gears majorly, even moving to a new city. So that's just one example of how this could play out. And I think for all of us, it's a really important time to be looking at our relationships and not being cynical about them or anything like that, but really being practical. I think that's the key word. It's just asking ourselves, does this function? Does this work? Is this building me? Is this stabilizing me for my future? It doesn't mean that necessarily you don't love the people involved, whether it's a romantic thing or a platonic thing. It just means that, you know, we got to do what we got to do. And we got to go where we got to go, and it is what it is. So this is a really important time. Again, it's really cool because we got all the Aries, so it's like now, let's move, and some other stuff on that in just a moment. But with the Venus and Saturn and Mars conjunct Saturn, especially Mars conjunct Saturn, but Venus too, we're focused on the long term. And that combination is really exciting because we can get a lot done each day while still heading in a long-term direction. And again, that is the challenge. As much as there's so much life and so much vitality for today and for tomorrow, and for this entire lunar cycle, because the foundation for the lunar cycle with the new moon really sets the tone for the entirety of the lunar cycle. All of that is great, and there's so much power and ability to move forward and a strong sense of self that we're all experiencing. But the challenge is to explode. We don't want to explode in anger. We don't want to let ego get in the way. We need to be very gentle with ourselves and others at this time. We need to make sure to be very gentle because it can be all too easy to only focus on our own perspectives. That is the challenge here. We have Sun and Mercury conjunct in Aries, and we've talked about the good stuff. The challenge that we need to be aware of, again, is to make sure that we're not saying or doing things too quickly without really thinking through things. That's essential. We saw on Sunday just how, because this started actually on Sunday, we saw on Sunday how that can get away from us very quickly, and we can make some really horrible mistakes that we would never make in any other circumstance. So we want to be thinking through what we're about to say. We want to be thinking through what we're about to do. Make sure that we're not operating too much from a place of anger, because chances are at this time we're only going to be looking at it from our perspectives, and it is never helpful to come from a place of outright rage anyways. We want to be breathing deeply in tense situations, taking time outs if need be from a conversation that's stressful, that's leading to conflict, to be able to be cool and collected and to handle things in a very mature way. That is essential for sure. And I think one last thing is, with all this Aries energy, yeah, it's tricky, because on the one hand, we have all this, I won't even say it's tricky, it's just something that's good to keep in mind. With all this Aquarius energy, it's very much serious, and it's fun in its own way, but it's very seriously focused on our goals and the long term, and let's reach that vision. It's so important to me. This is bringing out the best of myself. I'm contributing more to the world, to humanity. That's a beautiful thing. But we need to allow ourselves to play too. Sun, Mercury, and Moon all in Aries. This lunar cycle is very much about just having fun and enjoying ourselves, not in a way that is destructive or self-destructive, of course, but we do need to make time. As much as we are focused on our goals and moving forward, we really need to make time to chill out and just have fun, play games, hang out with friends, etc. That's really essential as well. Again, this is the last chance for who knows how many months for the 20% off readings. So go get your reading. Let's do it. It'll be fun. It'll be good. And yeah, I think that's everything. Excuse me. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. One last thing that's coming to mind is, again, this is the beginning of the not only this next lunar cycle, but really in a lot of ways, this is the beginning of the solar lunar calendar for this entire next year. So keep that in mind as per your long-term perspective, your long-term goals as well. So that can help a lot with the impatience that can happen with all this Aries energy, is keeping in mind, again, we're running a marathon. As much as the next 30 days is sprint, 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 let's make as much progress as possible in a major part. At the same time, all this Saturn, Mars, Venus is very much focused on the marathon, and really, whether we like it or not, there is a sense of the marathon that we just began as per the next year. And it'll be a good marathon. It'll be a productive and fruitful, but we have to keep that in perspective and not try to rush everything, because at this time, this is one of the, I haven't looked at the later transits, but just knowing from the possible combinations that could occur, that we would experience, this time period right now and probably for the next about 2 weeks or so, especially with the full moon in about 2 weeks, is going to be probably the most challenging all year when it comes to impatience, trying to rush things, letting ego get in the way. So as long as we're mindful of that, it's all cool, it's all good. Peace.